All right, so I just want to do like a quick training on really just wrapping up the close. So me and Mahmood went to Austin, Texas, and a couple other people, obviously from the blueprint, like Amar and whatnot. And basically, one of the biggest like topics they had was just persistency and keeping business on the books. I'm not the absolute best at it. I'm okay at it. So people definitely a lot better than me. And it is like with final expense, like 25% is just going to fall off over the course of a year, sadly. That's just like how it works. Hey, by the way, Tabitha, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, cool. I know you guys can't see the screen, but so with this, I'm gonna keep this training like super quick, maybe take a couple questions. But you guys, you got to think about it like this: like you do all this work, and sometimes we go days without selling policies. If you're new, you might go like weeks without selling. I'll like that. But basically, you do all this work to like fucking sell a policy, close a client, right? Like the way I think about it, and that's just something like every new agent fucks up on. I definitely fucked up on it a lot in the beginning. Is you spend all this time, all this effort to get that deal, and then why not take the extra 5 minutes to like really solidify it, right? Because you've already have the hard part done, and really, I think you can boost up your persistency like 10, 15% just by kind of doing what I'm about to go over here. So and this obviously there's a lot that goes into having a sticky deal, building a big why, not selling on approval, not just like, oh, let's get this packet mailed out, like da da da. Like that you could talk about that for an hour. Really, I just want to talk about like the deal's closed, policy signed, like what I kind of try to go through. And this is a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've added in the last few months as I've like tried to focus on this more, right? But at the end of the close, really the biggest four things is you want to recap the policy details, you want to warn about other agents, have them write down everything, save everything in their phone and text them everything. And at the very, very end, like the last thing I try to do is congratulate them and like make a friend with whoever this person is, right? So first, recapping the policy details, right? So on the script, we have it in here. Have them write down your name, the number, the carrier, like it's Americo, the policy number, the face value, effective date, reoccurring date, and then what's not on there is monthly premium, but that should be on there as well. So when I can show it to you guys later, but when I text client or after I get off the phone with them, I send them like a screenshot of the policy, whatever policy it is Americo, send a screenshot of that screen, Corebridge, same thing, and like a text right underneath it that has all that information in there. And I even have at the bottom, like if it's a veteran, thank you so much for your service. God bless you. Stay safe and healthy. And then my name again, Joseph Connolly. And I'll put my personal cell phone number is 912, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I just go over the policy details with them. So not only am I texting it to them, but I'm also saying, all right, Mary, so good news here, say your line, good news and bad news, right? You're stuck with me for life, whatever it is you want to say. But let them know, hey, I'm going to go ahead and have you write down your carrier is Americo, right? Your policy number is AM, blah, 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 blah. You're going to get that packet in 7 to 12 business days. It's going to go into effect whenever, right? Say the 15th of the month. So you can expect that $100 to be drafted on the 15th of every single month. From here forward, that's how your coverage is going to stay intact, right? It's really important that that always gets paid because if it doesn't get paid, you're at risk of losing your policy and they can cancel the coverage on you. So let's make sure that you always have the money in there on the 15th of the month. Okay, Mary? Okay, got it. And then just make sure they understand everything. Do you have any questions? Okay, cool. Move on. Then I want to warn them about other agents. So that's kind of like the paragraph right here where it's like, we always contact the Department of Insurance in the state, let them know we completed the request and submitted the application. But kind of how I word it is basically like, hey, Mary, and especially if like you did this policy the right way, right? Like yesterday, I don't know if any of you guys heard, it was a small policy, but I closed the guy with COPD, Americo Select 1. You can admit to COPD and get Select 1 if you guys didn't know. But on the policy, or when I was wrapping up the close, I told this guy, I was like, hey, listen, Bob, like there's a lot of really shady insurance agents out there. Some people will call you and say they can try to save you $3 or $4 a month and try to convince you to cancel your policy that has nothing wrong with it just to sign up for a new policy. But the way they might be able to do that is because they're lying on the application. If somebody fills out a policy for you, Bob, and they don't say you have COPD and you passed away within 2 years, your family's not going to get the money that they should, right? So the policy that I just completed for you, Bob, was done by the book. Everything is as it should be. COPD is on there. They know you were a smoker 20 years ago or whatever it is, right? And just make sure they know, like, hey, there's a lot of shady characters out there. You don't have to give that whole story, but I always basically say, like, hey, there's a lot of shady insurance agents out there. If you ever get any calls, somebody saying your application is incomplete or you're due for a policy review, or they say that this carrier is fraudulent, or that it wasn't filled out properly, whatever it is, Miss Mary, like it's just a line of BS from some random life insurance agent out there trying to get you to cancel a perfectly good policy. So that way, they can make a quick commission. Okay. So if you ever have any questions, like please give me a call. And the reason why I say that is because I had a like $300 policy it was actually like an $80 policy that I originally sold like last year. And, it canceled like 10 months in. I was like, whatever, fuck it. But my VA or whatever called the person, and the lady told my assistant, yeah, they said your policy was fraudulent or whatever. So I called the lady. I was like, listen, Alversa was her name. I was like, that's not the case. Like, blah, blah, blah. Figured out she had like 5 different policies now. This lady's just been getting screwed over by random, probably FFL agents for the longest time. And basically got her to cancel all those and wrap it into one big one. So it made me a lot of money. But I figured out during that, like a lot of agents say stuff like that, right? Like random people will call your clients. Like you think that the lead you have, they only clicked on one ad their entire life? Fuck no. Like people click on tons of ads. And even if they've only clicked on 2, that other lead form they filled out probably been passed on to a million agents, just like we pass on leads to all of you guys here, right? So you got to think about it like that. Like your clients are going to get calls. You have to like get them in the mindset of how can I avoid this policy canceling, right? So I try to warn them, like there's a lot of shady insurance out there. They're just trying to make a quick buck. They're pulling fraud, whatever it is you want to say. Just let them know, hey, you're going to get calls and your policy is perfectly fine. If you have any questions, please call me. Third thing is having them write down everything, kind of went over that. Saving your contact, super important, right? So if you guys have heard me close at the end of it when I'm doing my wrap up or whatever, I'm always telling them, hey, please go ahead right now, save my name in your phone as Josephc.insurance, right? I always have them put the word insurance in there. And I always make the joke like, hey, Miss Mary, you may forget my name in 6 months, and I swear I'm not going to be offended if you do. However, I want to make sure that 6 months from now, a year from now, if you lose your policy packet and you need a new one, if you have any questions, if you want to add coverage later down the road, you want to upgrade from the silver to the gold option or whatever you want to say. I just want you to make sure you can find my contact because, I'll be your assigned agent for life on this, right? So please, I'll make them do it. I'll ask them to do it while we're on the phone. I'll be like, hey, do you know how to save a contact? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, go ahead and put my name in your phone as Josephc.insurance or Joseph Connolly Life Insurance, something like that, because they will forget your name. Like how many times has somebody sold a policy or talked to a lady, they're like, who's your last agent? Like, I don't fucking know. Right? Everyone. They don't remember your name in a week, I swear. So if they have to find your contact, they're going to probably search the word life insurance or insurance in your phone. So have them put that in there. They ever need to cancel, like at least last like 3 or 4 months if they really started focusing on this. If people do want to cancel a policy, I've told them, they usually do call me. And it gives me an opportunity, or it just hits insufficient funds. But if they usually will call me, so at least like gives me an opportunity to save it, So make sure they save your contact, and then very end, just congratulate them, make a friend. So after I kind of go through, I think it's the cord. It's all good. But after we kind of go through this, like I read pretty much all that, kind of go over everything I just told you guys. Again, like have them recap the details. This is really important to be very clear about when they're going to be drafted, how much exactly they're going to be drafted. I'll tell them it's $100 and 12 cents. Like you'll see that come out of your bank account, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably not the biggest deal. If like, say you quote them Americo and you have to go trans select and it's $4 more, like just tell them because they're probably not going to care. Just be like, yeah, because of the diabetes and some of the taxes on there, it's actually going to be 87 instead of 82. Is that okay? They're never going to say no. But you run the risk of them canceling if you don't tell them. They might just think the policy was done wrong. They're like, oh, maybe this guy put the wrong year for me. They might just cancel just because they don't know, right? They might just like be worried that it wasn't exactly what you said. So again, they're not going to cancel if it's $5, $10 more. So it's best to just like over communicate. I've found with them. Recap the details, warn about other agents, tell them there's a lot of scammers out there, let them know that you're their person to call. I'll be your friend, your life insurance agent the rest of your life. Obviously have them write down, say your contact. And then the last thing is just congratulate them at the end. So at the very end, I always like to tell like a little bit short story, something like, Mary, like I really want to say, congratulations on getting approved for this coverage. We work with, 20 different A-rated carriers. And no matter which carrier I get them approved with, I'm going to say, and you were actually approved with you were approved with the very best one for all of your conditions, or because you're healthy, you were approved with the very best one, which is America or Transamerica or whatever it is. So you're approved at the best rate possible out of all 20. So I just want to congratulate you on that. And then second off, for getting this coverage in place. You know, a lot of the times, guys, I'll tell this to them. I'll be like, a lot of times in my job, like we just see people wait until it's way too late. You know, they give us a call when you know, they already have some serious medical conditions, they're knocking on death's doorstep, or God forbid, we even get calls from people that wanted to put this off. And then we get a call from a family member thinking that they had a policy, and we have to tell them that they don't. So I want to congratulate you, Mary, on, you know, taking that step to protect your family and doing the responsible thing, you know. And then again, just do you have any other questions for me? It's like, all right, cool, bye. You know, so it's like the last thing before we get off the phone is like, good. You know what I mean? It's just like, and you can make up your own like story or whatever it is. Like sometimes I'll tell a story about how, like, I had a guy, and this actually did just happen yesterday. I can show you all screenshots. I had a lady hit me up. I got her a policy March of last year. The policy went like credit floor, Corebridge, like 8 months later. Policy lapsed. The guy's daughter texted me yesterday, and policy was gone. You know what I mean? So it's again just like reminding them like how important it is to keep their coverage. And then the very last thing is just like making sure they're happy about it, right? Like you don't want them to have like that. Has anybody ever had a policy cancel like the same day you sold it? Nobody, really? I was about to say I have. Yeah. You know, so like that's, in my opinion, how do you avoid that? Like you want to avoid that buyer's remorse. You don't want them, the last thing they think when they get off the phone is like, yo, I just spent $200 a month. Like you want them thinking, yo, I just did the responsible thing to protect my family. So just like ending on that positive note, you know what I mean?
The credit floor, that means does that mean insufficient funds?
Credit floor is like their bank denied the charge, or the card denied it with Corebridge. I don't really write Corebridge anymore because the fucking signing is too difficult.
Yeah, so is that only with Corebridge? Because I had that happen recently. So is that because of the bank or is that because of Corebridge?
I think people have like a lock on their card, you know what I mean? Or they either have like a lot of old people have like fraud detection on their card, where it's like if it's a new bill that isn't authorized or something, like they have to call their bank and say, hey, Corebridge Financial isn't approved, Billy or whatever they call it, you know,
like 10 times in the last month.
Card business in general, like that's another thing, dude. Card business sucks. Like it really does. Like do everything you can to get a routing account number, you know. Like I've definitely even lost deals. I think I sent you one of them, Gundy, where I just didn't even write it because I had the card and I couldn't get the bank account and I couldn't get the lady back on the phone. I'll just give those to a new agent. It's like, fuck it, dude, I'm not writing this. So I've definitely lost money because of that. But at the end of the day, like if you get a routing and account number, you at least have like a 70% chance of it sticking for 12 months as long as you do yourself properly. Card business, it's like 40%. You know, I'm not saying don't write them. Like obviously, still take it, but you know, it's do everything you can to get the routing and account number. Sometimes I'll even I'll write down there, type in the credit card, take that information down, and then I'll be like, yo, let's find your routing and account number because they're more bought in. You know, so. Anybody else have any questions though?
What are Ethos and Trans the only carriers that don't mail out the policy packet immediately?
Yeah, yes, that I know of. Anybody else know any different? Musa?
They mail it out just after.
Yeah, I mean, all the rest of them mail it out as soon as you submit it.
As far as I know.
You're not gonna get the hard copy, but you're gonna get the email.
Yeah. Trans, you do have to request it gets mailed out to. So what I was told is that if they open their email, they won't send it. But if they don't open the email, they do send it.
I just tell them not to open the email until they receive the policy back there.
That's fair.
It's so weird. So
yeah.
So by then they'll already mailed out.
Yeah. Yeah. Ethos and Trans, only one that don't do that. So like that is another thing too, because I wish he was here, but I had this new agent walking into convention with me this last year. This is how I found out about the Ethos not until effective date thing. Walking into convention, I had a new agent with me. I get a phone call from a client just like screaming at me. His $300 policy is going into effect in 2 days. It was like Friday. It's going into effect on a Monday. He's like, cancel my shit, cancel. I don't have my packet in the mail, like blah, blah. I was like, sir, like, I don't know why they didn't send it, you know? And I ended up going to the Ethos booth that day. And I was like, the hell? And I just lost me $3,000. And then there's like, yeah, we don't send it until it's mailed or
do that so they don't lose money, probably.
I think it's because Ethos is kind of like a intermediary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with Ethos and Trans, I just tell the clients really simple line to like overcome that or like preempt it. I just tell them, hey, and just so you know, you're not going to get that physical policy packet in the mail until 7 to 10 business days after your policy is actually activated. and your policy isn't activated, of course, until you make the first premium, right? That's how insurance carriers do it. So I just make it seem like that's the case for everybody.
And instead of the screenshot is basically policy package.
Mhm.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, well,
Summary
policy
of-
promise,
Yeah.
and I send my text message with like all the other stuff on there.
I think Ethan sends a text too that says like, you're not gonna get your packet until. That's telling my client, oh, you should expect it in 7 days. And she's like, well, they texted me that I will get it until I pay. So it's okay.
Oh,
Oh, perfect.
I didn't know that.
After you approve those, it's like it'll send them like congratulations.
Yeah, Americo does that now too.
Yeah.
First time I had somebody tell me yesterday, they were like, yeah, it says I just got approved. Congratulations. I was like, oh, sweet.
Do it like
Thank God.
before you get it at the very end.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, guys, like, don't really have a whole lot. I wanted to keep this super quick, but like you spend, my whole point here is like you spend all this time, we dial for hours and hours, days and days sometimes, right? To make a sale, we're gonna make $1,000. Like take the extra 5 minutes to do these things and like wrap it up properly. Don't just be so excited to like jump off, post your numbers on Discord and like get to the next call. Like, that's great. You should be closing, wrap it up, on to the next call. Boom. You shouldn't be like gloating. Like you should be like working intentionally as hell. But just like promise you, like instead of just literally reading this, take an extra 5 minutes, make them save your contact, tell them a little story, make them feel good about what they just did, etc. Like it does go a long way. You know, I've noticed like this year compared to last year, my persistency is a lot better because I'm doing these things more often, and also just like not having to call back people for licenses, just like doing stuff the right way. You know, like it does make a difference. Promise. So, and it's just less stressful when you're not waking up to chargebacks. Promise. Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Anybody on Zoom got any questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yo.
Y'all were talking about people sending the policy packets before it gets activated. To my knowledge, the only one that does that is Mutual of Omaha, because I know Corbridge doesn't do it as well. Which other ones do send out the policy packet right when they get approved and before it gets activated?
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought all of them did it besides Ethos and Trans.
I know Corbridge doesn't do it because I ran into that same problem 2 weeks ago where they said they don't send it until it gets issued. So I'm just curious because I'm trying to fix that myself with communicating to clients.
So, Brandon, on Corbridge, you do have to make sure that right before you sign the application, there's a button that says it's automatically selected to email only. You have to click mail. I think that might be what you're missing there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, like, I mean, if you find out anything different from a carrier, let me know.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Anybody else, though? We get to dialing. Cool. Thank you guys that are on Zoom for hopping on. Hopefully you learned something. If you need help, text me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you,